Hey now, what's up, ChroNoSo? My name is Steve Bennett. Got the whole crew with me today. It's the SummerSlam 88 main event. And it's the Mega Powers and the Mega Bucks. And we got some mega podcasters here tonight from New York City, Long Island, New York. JAD, what's up, my man?
Hey, what's going on? Let me just show you guys. I dressed appropriately. You got the OG SummerSlam, and I just want to show you something. It's not what you think it is, all right? So don't
hide your wives, guys.
It's not the,
whoa, brother. We got X-rated real quick.
Look at those
hide the wife.
Sorry, I had a little spasm on the way down.
Oh, my word.
Those are beautiful. 45 minutes west of Boston is Ryan. What's up, Ryan?
What's up, Ryan?
I can't recover from that, guys. I'm not coming back from that one, but I'm doing well, Stevie. How are you?
And Sopranos Town, USA, my main man on the 24-inch podcast, Hollywood, Florida, Dave Rowlands. What's up, buddy?
Hollywood, Florida, brother. What's going on? You guys are all married men here, and I go from Hollywood, California to Hollywood, Florida in a matter of a week, dude. Come on, give me a break on that. Hollywood will always be Hollywood.
It used to be action.
I'm only allowed to drink 6 beers when I go out now. Well, don't tell me. Go ahead.
It used to be action movies, but he's doing romantic comedies this summer. All right. The main event, it's the Mega Powers, Mega Bucks, SummerSlam 88. I watched this at my buddy Don's house. This was back in the day of your best friend was the kid in class who had the cheater box. And my friend Don had the cheater box. And my mom and his mom were friends. I've known Don my whole life. And I said, Mom, can you call June and see if we can come over for SummerSlam? And she did. And that's where we watched. And it was a Monday night, which I remember as it was getting later in the show, I was getting worried that the parents might try to break up the party. But they were cool. We hung in until the end. But I want to know what you guys did, John and Dave specifically. Ryan, you probably caught it after, like last time.
Yeah.
Let's start with John. What did you do for some? You were a waiter last time for WrestleMania 4. What were you doing at SummerSlam?
Waiter, and also during the week I was working at the food town, and the one other loser guy that's into wrestling invited me over, and we watched it together. He had to lie, he wasn't that much of a loser. He actually had a girlfriend, which is something foreign to me and wrestling fan. But he actually had to make up some story to get away from his girlfriend. So we watched it, and it was awesome. And I like that Monday night. It was like the last Monday of the summer, which for us on the East Coast, the kids are still in school, so it's good that last like week where the kids are usually back from camp or whatever. Getting on the parents' nerves. So it's a good thing to throw on that last Monday of the summer there.
Yeah, my birthday is September 1st, so I always loved SummerSlam because it was like right around my birthday. And I think after this, we would order it and I'd have friends over. It was like the last hurrah of the summer. Dave, what did you do for 88?
I'll tell you in a second, but it's funny that D'Amato got that kind of heat for enjoying wrestling, because here in New Jersey, around 1988, I have 3 older sisters, and all their boyfriends not to the degree I did, but everybody liked wrestling. You were never looked down upon it until around 93, maybe around that time. And then around 96, 97, it changed again. But anyway, what I did was, we did not have pay-per-view yet here in Kearney, New Jersey, in Sopranos Town. We didn't get it till Survivor Series 88, the next pay-per-view. But we own a house. My parents own a house down the shore, the Jersey Shore, dude. And so we got my mom picked me up from my aunt and uncle's house around 5 o'clock, and there's a big traffic jam. I remember we just got down the shore, and they turned the TV on. The WWF sign was going over the mountains, like the beginning of The Shining. It kind of looks like that, what the world is watching. Yep. So we just made it. And I remember seeing Madison Square Garden all lit up for the first time, because I'm used to it looking all dark at WrestleMania 1 and all the house shows, etc. So I'm like, it didn't count. I'm like, I thought this is in Madison Square Garden. It didn't. My 8-year-old self didn't ring a bell that Madison Square Garden is all lit up now. And now it looks like Saturday night's main event. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, this is just so different. So I remember that. And then right before the main event, you know how in the Shore House you have rocks outside instead of grass, and you hear a car pulling up on the rocks, and it's my aunt, my uncle, and my grandmother. They couldn't take it. They had to see the Mega Powers against the Mega Bucks.
Wow.
They came. My uncle got home from work and they came down just for the main event and drove back home. That's how. Yeah, that's how crazy it was. Everybody loved wrestling in Kearney, New Jersey in 1988. So I guess I just lucked out.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Ryan, what was the first time you watched SummerSlam '88, buddy?
Oof, I don't think probably when the DVD set came out in like 2007. I probably breezed through it there.
The little cooler?
The cooler.
Yeah,
yep, the cooler.
I got it.
I got the cooler. I think I got that for Christmas one year, and I just breezed through it at some point around there, probably 2007, 2008 ish.
How old were you? How old were you?
In 2007, 2008, I was probably 22.
Oh, okay. So you were old enough to, you were probably too old to, for the finale to crank one out.
You're never too old, brother. What I say.
And we'll
watch SummerSlam that regular. So
who's homage right now? If you can tell,
Yeah. Yeah. Turn your head, dude.
I at the time I'm 3 years old. I think I'm out of diapers now, as I was in diapers for the main event.
But let me tell you, I can always remember the first time I watched National Lampoon's Vacation. I was probably about 5 years old, and something went up. Let's just say that.
Wow, you were an early bloomer.
I
didn't know what was going on.
Basically, 5 years old.
We might between D'Amato's dick dance before and my comments here. This we might get canceled. We might not be able to send. We might send this one out to too many people.
When you invite me on these things, you know what you're getting.
Let me
what time stamp are we at right now? So we can tell people to start from here.
7 minutes.
I don't know. Let me try to get control of this there, Dave. Calm down over there.
A lot of testosterone here, Steve. Reel us in.
Low ball.
Calm down. Let's get it back. So, one thing I loved about this match, a little underrated, we got Jesse in the ring as the referee, and I thought they did a great job playing off of Jesse's dislike for Hulk and how that might interfere with the match. But you also have his love for Macho Man, which he fought during this period because Macho Man was technically a face. So he was always, but he would say things like, I was the first one who knew what a talent he was in this company. He made sure he knew that was still kind of his guy subtly. And then we had the great shot in the show where they shot it sort of from behind, like nobody knew they were there, when Jesse was kind of getting the dollar bill shoved in his pocket from the $1 Million Man.
Yeah,
what do you guys think about Jesse's involvement here and how they pulled it off, Brother Love? Ryan.
My biggest thing here is, why was Jesse moving the tag rope to start the match here? What are we doing? What's
that's an unsolved mystery.
He was showing authority. Sure. I like that. He was showing authority, and and when Hulk tapped him behind, he said, "Hey, don't talk to me." He was showing his authority. I like that.
Okay, good. That's a good detail.
Play a little tension to play up on the tension between him and Hulk. All right, there's the answer, D'Amato.
Yeah, good detail. Good job, John. I like that. Anything else on Jesse, Ryan?
He could have had a little better attire. What do we got? The disco shirt with the tight white black pants and the skate skin boots, and the cool. He had the proper bandana on, but I don't know. He really looked like Hollywood Jesse opposed to referee Jesse. Let's say.
Yeah, he was leaning into that though with the Predator movie and all that. He was sort of taking his claim to that. Dave, what do you think of Jesse here?
Well, that's actually why he's in this role, because this was the most popular he'd ever been. Predator came out in the summer of '87, but it came out on HBO. That's when we all taped it in the summer of '88. It would take a year. First, it would go to the video store, then it would go into HBO. And it was very, very popular movie. Anything with Arnold Schwarzenegger at the time, So they were riding the wave on Jesse's popularity there. And then getting him involved, it's like, because people probably like, oh, Hulkster's coming back. They're definitely going to win. There's no way Hulk's going to lose his returning match. But wait a minute, Jesse's the referee. He's a bad guy, dude. But then they did the thing with Andre, with Jesse's deathly afraid of Andre the Giant and stuff. So put a little doubt in your mind there which way Jesse was going to go on it. But, I just think he was a perfect choice. Perfect choice for the referee rolling off of his movie popularity at the time, and the Miller Lite commercials with Bob Uecker were at this time as well. So yeah, Jesse was I think after probably Savage and Hogan, maybe the most popular guy in the WWF, popular name in the WWF at the time, Andre.
John, I remember making the comment that they couldn't have a regular official because of the controversy at the main event last time the four of us were together. In my 8-year-old brain, that's what was working there. I was like, there wouldn't be one trustworthy enough. There could be another cloning, or another plastic surgery. I was worried about that. But I thought Jesse really added to the star power here. And
right.
It made it feel bigger. You know what I mean? It made it feel even more like a main event to have Jesse there. What do you think, John?
Yeah, definitely great continuity, and especially if you even want to go back to WrestleMania 3 with the Joey Morello maybe missed the 3 count, and they've been harping on that. They never forgot about that. So yeah, I loved all the vignettes leading up to it with Craig DeGeorge and really when they announced Jesse the first time, and Andre really punking him and bullying him, and Teddy slipping the money in there. They really played it up like Jesse was going to be biased. I loved it.
What do you
Andre bullied Jesse. You better pay attention. Really,
what do you guys think about them going tag here in the main event of the first SummerSlam? I thought it showed a little bit of balls. Now, I know, look, anything with Hulk here in this era in the main event, it's going to probably be big enough to headline. But I think they showed a little balls here, and they didn't really do a singles main event until, I guess, 90, right, with the Warriors steel cage match. And even that was a double main event, so you got to go 91. You have the match made in heaven, made in hell. You can argue that's not even traditional. You have to go, into 92? Yeah, 91's another tag. You got to go into 92 for a true singles main event. And that's if you consider the last match, the main event on that card. But what do you think about them doing this way here? Why don't we start with Ryan? What do you think?
I think it was a little safe. You got your stars out there. You got some rollover from WrestleMania 4. You got Hulk returning, but how long is Hulk returning for? So how much are we going to just play off his star power, or are we going to invest in him? And we don't really want him to kind of outshine Savage on this card. We want him to rise up Savage on this card. And we really want to build the mega powers up and kind of present them for down the road, because this isn't the time where they book a year ahead. And I assume that they had their plans, panned out pretty well. So
right, we'll get into that more later too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was safe, but I think it was also smart too.
Dave, what'd you think, buddy?
I think because it was in the Garden, it was a little bit of a throwback to WrestleMania 1 with the tag team match there. And of course, you didn't want to give away what you're doing on the house shows. You know what I mean? With single stuff. I know we say that all the time at nauseam, whatever word that is. Yeah, I think it was a little throwback to WrestleMania 1 and just doing very different things for the pay-per-view and kind of having the mega powers versus the mega bucks. It's kind of like a happening. You know what I mean? Instead of having Hulk just to blow off a Hulk and Andre in a cage or something, it would kind of be like, all right, we've seen this how many times now on a pay-per-view? Just Savage and DiBiase, they did 3 Madison Square Garden house shows in a row, the last one being in a cage in June of '88. So, I think this is the correct route to go with this, with the tag match. And the fans were very different back then. Nobody cared. Oh, he's not defending it. Savage ain't defending the title. Nobody cared about anything like that. They come to the 90s. Nobody cared about anything like that. So I think people were just there for the spectacle of it. And what's Jesse going to do? Who's going to win? We're happy to see Hulk back, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how I feel about that.
You agree with the fellas, John?
Yes, 100%. And especially the way they treat it and they promote it as this is just a one-time tag team. You're not going to see the same tag team match, around the horn in Philly and Boston, just like a WrestleMania 1. It's a once in a lifetime. You're never gonna see it again. Pomp and circumstances, Jesse as ref and everything. It's a one-shot deal, and that's perfect for the pay-per-view, especially nowadays where they run matches into the ground 67 times. So it was a unique match, promoted perfectly.
Yeah, and I think Dave mentioned too, they did a really good job of protecting the house shows and what they had going around, which was so big at this time in terms of their business, but also creating something big enough to justify whatever the dollar amount was. I think it was $20 if I recall. Dave, you might know better than me, but I thought it was around around that range, maybe even $14.99.
I wasn't on
in that range, $15-$20, and like I said, I was lucky enough to have the cheater box at my friend Don's house for it. Obviously, we have Elizabeth on the outside. On the one side, we have Bobby and Virgil on the other side. The guys outside, the people outside the ring. And I mentioned this as a kid. I was really tuned into the fact that I would get really petrified when the odds against my guys started to stack up on the outside. And I wasn't confident even then that Elizabeth could balance that. And I remember really being worried that this would turn into 4-on-2 really quickly. What do you think about the extra people involved in the match on the outside? John, did you have a feeling on these three people, 2 on one, 1 on the other, in terms of outside of the match?
Yeah, it was great how they made the faces seem like outnumbered, and they made Hulk and Macho seem like the underdogs. And let me throw in a question to you, Hulkamaniac. So, what did you guys think of Hulk and Macho coming out to Pomp and Circumstances?
Oh, I hated it. I remember my aunt too was like, "What the hell is this? Like, what's going on? Where's Real American? Like, what the fuck? Am I allowed to curse? Like, oh my god, you just should have had them come out separately."
Yeah,
but we changed that really quick at Survivor Series and in the main event in February, so there's no more worries. But yeah, I wasn't happy at all.
I'll be honest, and I remember pretty clearly saying they'll probably play Hulk's song when they win.
Thank God.
And I looked at it as sort of like a balance, because I was really into the Mega Powers, because I was hoping it would work, cause I always loved tag team wrestling, and I thought as a Hulk fan, it'd be nice for someone finally to have Hulk's back like that. And I right away just kind of called it out. I'm like, I bet they're gonna do Hulk's song second, Randy's song first. So that was sort of my thought. It did end up playing out that way, and it says a lot too that I never even considered the fact that they could lose. You know what I mean? And it was in my mind, it was like once they win, they'll play Hulk's song. So
that had to be Hulk's call, because I doubt Vince would have went for that at that time. So that's it was very strange.
I do think, and Ryan, you can expand on this, I do think it strengthened the idea that these guys are a cohesive unit that could coexist long term. Maybe it's just only a subtle little touch, but they might have been sending that signal, like, look at something that maybe be an issue. Whose song do we come out to? We'll come out to Machos now. We'll do Hulk's later. Everything's hunky-dory. This is going to work,
Little subtle things. Remember, Bobby Heenan would say on primetime, look, Macho Man's wearing Mega Powers at the back of his tights, and Hulk stopped. Hulk did it at this show, but he didn't do it at the next one. Little subtle things, like you said. Right.
Okay, Ryan, what do you think, buddy?
Yeah, and I thought it was, to allude to what I said earlier about really leveling Macho up from that star power to kind of even get him close to Hulk. Hulk is, the biggest star that this company's seen of all time. And it is really the presentation of, let's bring him out. Macho's the champ. Let's present him as the top guy. Let's play his music, and let's just add to that. And then let's kind of, at the end, let's kick it with the nostalgia and go home and make everyone really happy, because you know who they're here to see.
Right. And, the posing, it just works so much better, I think, to the, Real American than it does to the Pomp and the Circumstance.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the match itself. Obviously not necessarily, a 5-star classic or anything like that in terms of the work, but I just rewatched it again yesterday to get a feel for it as we went into doing this, and it's an entertaining match. I think it's the right amount of time. They didn't go too long to wear out their welcome. I had watched for Ryan when the SummerSlam main event just a few weeks ago, because Ryan was there, and I figured I'd be able to talk with him about it, and it just went too long, and that's a trap that wrestling would get into as the years built on, right? It's like, we got to give them these super long matches to justify the main event, where I think here they do a great job. It's the right amount of time. You know, I think everybody gets the right amount of time in the ring. You know, I think they did a really good job with the hot tags here. You know, I really thought they structured a great tag match, considering it's not necessarily wrestlers that you're used to seeing in tag matches. John, why don't you give me a few minutes on the match itself? What did you think about the structure and the booking and how they went about telling the story? But let's stop right before Elizabeth gets on the ropes. We'll talk about that separately, but kind of up to that moment, you know?
Well, first of all, I was a big fan of commentary. It was disappointing. I was upset with this one. Gorilla definitely needs a heel. Yeah. And Superstar, I mean,
he wasn't it.
With the,
he was not
brothers and the kids today could play a drinking game with how many times, drink every time he says brother or Gorilla Monsoon.
Well, now I remember doing a podcast, so we said that.
You die of alcohol poisoning. So Gorilla needs a heel to bounce off of, and also to keep him in check because boy, Gorilla was all over Jesse's officiating. Every move, Gorilla was all over. Man, Superstar didn't defend Jesse at all. So that was a little one-sided there.
John, if you could have thrown one person in, who would you have picked?
At that time, Brain was busy with the match, so
maybe Lord Alfred, but he gives this kind of heel.
Yeah,
Lord Alfred can be heely sometimes.
That was the only option. That was because I remember they tried like Johnny V, who was no good.
No good. Yeah.
Nick Bockwinkel was doing some commentary. He was around the house shows at the time,
but not big enough. I don't think for this audience.
But I actually
the match.
No, the match itself. I always appreciate DiBiase. Like every move he makes, he doesn't waste any moves. Even a simple punch, he tries to make everything look real. I love DiBiase. He does, he's a perfect heel. He reacts like he's supposed to act. And just later in the match, the big disappointment was when Hulk got the hot tag and just like knocked that Andre down with one shot. Like you heard the crowd went bananas. But it was like nothing, I would like a little build up to make Andre go down,
a couple more shots.
I know you guys are gonna say, "Oh, that's the Hulk."
It's the blow off for them too,
like a Superman and all that. But I would like to see a little build up for that because you saw how the crowd reacted. Whenever Andre goes down, it's a huge moment. Even back then, Andre still had that cachet. So I would like to see them build it up a little, a couple clotheslines, like a Mania where he did two, and then finally that third clothesline. So. Those are my only critiques, but otherwise up to the big moment, everything. You had your good heel double teaming, and then your hot tags, and leading up to the climax. Just a textbook. These guys are all pros. You had Virgil and Heenan, once again making it look like the odds were against the faces. So no complaints there.
Dave.
Your regular run-in-the-mill main event tag team kind of match. I think a lot of it revolved around Jesse and what he was doing and what Gorilla was saying about it. Very exciting. The crowd's hot, of course, really into it. And it was just it was almost kind of sad that this is Hulk and Andre's blow-off, right? I think they had a couple more house shows when they were trying to pop the Atlanta, Georgia market, and it didn't do too well. But that was it. That was it for Hulk and Andre. Wow. So for the feud, the feud wise, that's it. So it's kind of sad in that way. The feud was such a big part of our wrestling fandom. You know what I mean? It went all the way from basically you say late '86 when they started with the machine angles. That was really what started it. Summer '86.
What do you mean with the machines?
Well, that's how it started. Bobby got Andre suspended because he was a giant machine.
Right.
I'm sorry, that's not why he got him suspended. He got him suspended because he no-showed a match. Then he came back as a giant machine.
No, I don't think that was him.
All right.
No, I don't think it was. But okay, go ahead.
Oh, do you want to just get your joke in? You really want me to?
No, let's fucking around. Go ahead.
He got it in.
Okay. Right. But no, then they had the hearing and Bobby Heenan got him reinstated. So it's like, what the hell's going on here? You know what I mean? And Jesse was trying, and the body's got to know, dude. Everybody had to know. Yep. So, I mean, we went from the summer of '86 to the 2 full years of this huge feud, Hogan and Andre, and this is the end of it here. But,
But a great job by then. That one ends, and we start to slowly build the next one, right?
Really, well, Boss Man's next, but we're slowly building the next one. Yeah,
the next big one. Ryan, what do you think about the match?
I'm gonna touch on what John mentioned earlier. Just DiBiase just really being in his bag, as the kids would say nowadays. He was just bumping his feet in all match. You know, he's a pretty big guy, and he was moving around there like he was a $155. You know, bouncing off Hogan's punches, bouncing around for Savage. He was just really making up for the lack of mobility that Andre really kind of was accelerating on the decline here, even alluding to back in February, where we talked about the main event, where he was just looked so much older compared to WrestleMania 3. Here we are 7 months later, and he's still on the decline pretty hard. Right. And you can tell he's even a step or two behind from February. So, you know, Andre has seen greener days, and you know, he's kind of this is probably his last pretty good match as he kind of creeps out of the back end of his career here, unfortunately. But yeah, kudos to DiBiase. And I like the teamwork between the baby faces here. But I will say, I didn't really like the Macho Man, a guy for being known for his gear. I just didn't feel for this Mega Power gear Hulk Hogan wannabe ripoff tights for Macho Man.
Yeah, I didn't like
I did like that he puts the star in his boots to live true to himself, but I think they should have met somewhere in the middle besides the yellow. The yellow just didn't work for him. He wasn't tan enough. He didn't have that Hollywood tan. You know, he had a Hollywood, Florida tan.
No baby oil for Andre, brother.
Hollywood, Florida tan. Yeah. All right, so we get to the end here, and Elizabeth pops up on the apron, and this was supposed to be even better, right? Like, I think that the initial plan was she was going to go full bikini here, and Macho Man said it wasn't going to work for him. I think Pritchard said famously on the Bruce Pritchard podcast that he does with Conrad that was that day that Macho Man said, no, she's not going bikini. So we get what we get. She sort of disrobes the way she does, and everyone stops, right, to look at her, and it creates the moment for the Mega Powers to get the finish and to get the win. Another subtle, great detail of this match is as Jesse comes down for 3, he's kind of going slow, and Macho Man comes over the top to help him. A really great way to end it. Let's talk about the finish. Let's get you started here, Ryan. You look like you got some thoughts on this. What do you got, buddy?
Yeah, man, paying homage to it here in the background. If you're an audio listener, you might want to seek that out on YouTube exclusive right there. But I really dug that, you know, especially at the end, Jesse staying true to his heel self, and he just despises Hulk Hogan, and he can't give that piece of shit the win, and then he's just he's gonna and the Macho just finishes it, and he's the dismay in his face as he realizes he gave him the 3. He was just over himself. But the Elizabeth thing is, believe it or not, the most memorable thing within this match, and really in the most key point to really start adding to the Macho Man's maybe lack of confidence or his insecurities of people looking at Elizabeth or whatever. Right. So that, you know, it was a very memorable way to deliver that. And I'm sure Hollywood Dave has something else to say about it too.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be the itsy bitsy, teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini, right? But it wasn't, Dave. What are your thoughts on it? Yeah.
Guess Macho with his insecurities. Who knows? But I mean, yeah, I remember I was watching with my family. So, you know, you're 8 years old. You pretend you don't like girls. So it's just like,
well, you were earlier.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say anything. What was going on down there? But, I think I might have said something to my friend. But anyway, yeah, it's very memorable. This is the most memorable thing from the match. And I like how, I think it was a happy accident, kind of like Tito Santana with Danny Davis for the Intercontinental title, how they went back to it with Randy Savage with the Nux. When Hogan puts her up there, he realized he grabs like her lower back and the top of the butt, not really the core of the butt. Oh, we're not going there yet?
We'll do that next. We'll do that next. But yeah, the finish I thought was well booked and well planned out, and the moment. John, you have any thoughts on it? And then we'll get to Dave. We'll get to the angle. We'll do that next.
Yeah.
Well, if Jesse was really corrupt, he should have counted them out because they were out there forever before Elizabeth pulled her move.
That is true.
They were outside, and that's what Gorilla should have jumped in and said, "Oh, you should be counting them out." But of course, he didn't say that because his heroes would have got counted out. So they should have got counted out. And also, my favorite gorilla moment was after Elizabeth dropped the gorilla goes, "What a move by Elizabeth!" like she did a hurricane or something. He was like, "What a move!" And even though it didn't show as much as they could have, it was still a shock because Elizabeth was always the more maybe she had an outfit with a little cleavage or something, but to see all that, the legs, that was still a lot back then. And my buddy, my cuck buddy over there was like, "Oh, don't tell my girlfriend, but I would take Elizabeth over her."
Yeah, me too. Dave, you're dying to get into this, so let's go there because now the match is over. Finally, Real American plays, right? And we have the moment. Everyone is enjoying it. Hulk's posing, Randy's posing, Elizabeth's in there with them, and up on the shoulder she goes, right? She's on Macho square to one shoulder there. And Hulk comes in for a little support, whatever, kind of puts the lower back. Peter Winston has a really great snapshot of it that he's been using to promote his latest podcast.
I think I saw that.
Shout out to Peter Winston, greetings from Allentown Live, him and Keithy. And if you follow him on Twitter, you can kind of get the exact snapshot of it. But the controversy about the hand placement, and that's really the beginning. That's if it was convenient and they went back to it, or if they planted it. It is sort of the first signal of lust in his eyes and the downfall of the Mega Powers. Dave.
Yeah, it could have went either way. I don't know for sure if it was a happy accident or not because Hogan couldn't put his hand on the real part of the butt because Savage wouldn't allow it, right? So it had to be there anyway. So if it was planned, so happy accident or not, but you do see when Gorilla and Superstar are saying goodnight to everybody and the camera's fading back into the arena, if you really look close into the ring, you can see Savage point in Hogan's face as they're getting out of the ring. And I never noticed that until like maybe 10 years ago or something. I never noticed that. But I was like, wow, look at that. Yeah. So there was that little bit of, so maybe it was planned, but Hogan just couldn't put his hand, obviously couldn't put his hand where he wanted to. But, yeah, or it was a happy accident. I don't know. I mean, it's 50-50, I think.
What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah. As we found out with Gawker later in life, Hogan's not afraid to kind of play with a friend's wife. So, I think he took a shot. He play shoot or shoot. Let's just say.
I don't know what he's getting out of that, but all right, John.
Hey, way before, as soon as I got the pin, Macho was paying respect and on the top rope, thanking his fans. And while he was doing that, fucking creepy Terry fucking grabs,
that's it.
Sweaty, creepy Terry grabs Elizabeth. Yeah. And then when Macho Man got down, he gave a look like what the fuck? And
that's why he pointed his face. I think the butt thing was a happy accident. But that
like Ryan said,
part of it.
He was like, hey, brother, in 15 years, I'm going to get somebody that could really play ball if you're not into it. So, screw you. My friend Bubba is going to go somewhere where you don't, brother.
You think, I heard a rumor real quick, D'Amato, that he was calling her Elizabeth during this whole, all right, that's just for another time. He was calling Bubba the Love Sponge's wife's Elizabeth, but that's for another
time. I bring out the worst in everybody. Ryan's a gentleman. He feels like he has to come down to my level.
Last thing, and this is what I really want to know from everybody. How do you think, so they have the match ends, we move on. And as we build here, SummerSlam becomes sort of the second big pay-per-view, right? It's WrestleMania, it's SummerSlam. Maybe some people would argue Royal Rumble, but to me, it's always you got Mania, you got SummerSlam. They're sort of perfectly spaced out. How do you think they did in terms of creating a legacy as the main event for the first big show? Like if you look back at WrestleMania 1, you'd say, wow, they killed that with star power and entertainment and relevance. They really, when you look back at the legacy of the WrestleMania main event, you say they set them up for a future of success perfectly. How do you think they accomplished that here in terms of the legacy of this match and what it means as the first main event in the second biggest pay-per-view in company history? Dave, why don't you go first?
I think they did a fantastic job. And one reason I'm going to say why, because I was at the Meadowlands on May 8th, 1989. And when it came time for Howard to announce, it was a rare appearance by Howard in the Meadowlands, to announce the next card. He said, "Coming here will be August 28th, SummerSlam," and just the place just went out of control, just completely out of control with excitement. So I think that says it all right there.
Ryan?
I think putting it in Madison Square Garden was on purpose to kind of set the tone of the allure and the spectacle of it, kind of steal some of that WrestleMania 1 dust, like you said. But I'm kind of surprised that they didn't really go out and go get the celebrities like they did in '85 for WrestleMania 1. But they are 3 years later here. They're in a bigger spot. They are the celebrities, Hulk and Macho, Andre DiBiase, even Jesse, like you talked about earlier, Predator. Yep. So they're in a much bigger spot. They have 3 years later where they have allure and all this stuff. So they didn't need the celebrities. They didn't need the pomp. They didn't need Liberace, but they took Madison Square Garden's aura and they put a staple on it with SummerSlam. So I think they set it up pretty good.
John, what do you got for me on legacy and perspective here all these years later?
They still weren't sure. I don't think they were sure that this is going to be an every year thing. But they definitely did a great job of making sure that the audience knows that you got to tune in for special moments like this. Like this tag team match will never happen again, and also stuff like the Ultimate Warriors thing. That is stuff that's they save for a pay-per-view.
Right.
That's to make up for the probably 3/4 of the card is something that you could see on a prime time or whatever is mundane stuff. They could have like had a better match for like Jake or somebody like that.
They actually did show the matches on prime time, which is strange. Not the main event or the IC, but the rest of them, I think they did. Yeah.
But actually, it was good. You got to see Jake give a DDT and get a pin, which is something rare because most of his other pay-per-view matches in the future always ended some schmazzy stuff. So they did a good mix of not giving away too much, but also giving them letting you know that hey, this is this can be a legit. You have to tune in to this every year because for these moments. So.
And I think bringing up the Ultimate Warrior Honky Tonk Man is another good example of that, where it's sort of in the USA Express Cheek and Volkov role, right? Yeah. Title changes happen here. This is a big enough event for us to see a title change, and here is one.
That's a huge title change.
Yeah, they ended one of the biggest runs in the history of the company to this day. So, and I know we had it covered very well earlier in the show. All right, so anytime we get the mega powers of ChroNoSo podcasters together like this, it's always great. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the whole show. And that's it. It's been a long one, but SummerSlam 88 had to pay tribute the way only ChroNoSo can. But that's it for now. We are out.
Thanks, guys.
Later, guys.